Welcome to Moving Fearlessly, our 7th chat. We're so pleased that you're here. My name is Debra. I'm coming to you live from Brooklyn, where it's still Tuesday. And I am here representing Fearless Communicators. And I am working with one of my playmates and good friends, Johanna, who's based in Sydney, who has her own organisation called Moving Communication. So hence Fearless Communicators, Moving Communication, and we get Moving Fearlessly, which is our opportunity to celebrate the amazing women we know, the amazing women we want to meet, and to create a platform for them so that they have a place to share their thought and being leadership. So before we begin, I'm just going to ask Johanna to just take us into a moment to just actually arrive on Planet Zoom together and to ground in to this chat and this community for today. So Yo.
Great. Okay, so welcome. And I always like to start with taking that moment to actually see each other on the screen and to, without talking, but just to be the moment of being and seeing. So, because at the moment, you know, we're all in these square boxes, and somehow that individual sense of meeting can get lost very quickly. But so let's just take a moment to look at the people, the names and the faces and the eyes, and take in the people you see. You might smile or not. The different backgrounds. And as you do that, start to bring some attention to your breath. Have that sense of breathing in this moment of meeting and being together this morning or this evening for Deb. And let your eyes start to have a soft focus now. And so it starts to broaden. Instead of zoning in on individuals, start to let it widen and broaden and start to bring your attention to the peripheral vision. And the space that you're sitting in. And if you like, you can close your eyes or look down, or we'll just have a moment of coming in now. A little bit more. You're in your space, you're sitting on a chair or you're laying on the bed, wherever, to just bring awareness to those points of contact and your breath. Sitting there with all sorts of thoughts around the day, or being here, or your dreams, or who knows what, but to just notice those. And then start to feel emotions you may be sitting with right now. And then down into the gut, that other brain of ours that often gets missed in our pursuit to move forward. That's also taking in our experience of being on this planet. And then we, at the same time as being within us, we are within meeting. And that's the movement, the tension point of being and presence, to be with yourself while being with others. So let's lift our eyes again and just experience that point of tension of staying connected within yourself while we're here with each other. Great.
Thank you, Johanna.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was nice to take a moment. So welcome again. We have a couple of traditions at Fearless Communicators, which I'm going to bring into the space now. And the first one is one that I learned here with some African-American communities that I work with. And what they do at the beginning of a gathering is that they acknowledge elder. So they ask the elder of the group the permission to begin. And so what we do at Fearless Communicators is we ask, if you identify, you get to self-select. If today, in this moment, you would like to select yourself as an elder. And if you do identify as an elder, I'm just asking you to just give me a little bit of elevated sparkleation with your fingers, which is your permission that we are ready to begin. So do we have any elders in the space? Joe, Yo, thank you. Thank you for the permission to begin. And thank you all for your honesty with where you identify for today. So Fearless Communicators also acknowledges that we are a US-based company and that we operate on ancestral and Indigenous land, and we acknowledge those ancestors and elders, past, present, and emerging. We also acknowledge that we live within systems of institutional racism, misogyny, ableism, ageism, LGBTQ+ phobia, and we use our diverse bodies, voices, and stories in the dismantling of those oppressive systems in the hope for equity and justice for us all. So this is where we come from with Fearless Communicators, and we are based in the US, but we work across the world. And one of the places that we work is in Australia. And one of our partners in Australia is my dear friend, Hannah, who has her own, as I said, her own business, Moving Communications. And what happened at the point in March when everything went, what's going on with the world, all of our programming was postponed and then cancelled. And so what we did here in the US is we reached out to the thought leaders in our communities, because what we do, we work with thought leaders on what they say and how they say it. So we reached out to them and said, we're going to start an online chat series. Please come and share what you know, because everybody has a lot of questions and it's a time for us to come together in community. And so we created that in mid-March, and we're still ongoing with our chat series here in the US. And then blessed be, Johanna said, hand up, excuse me, can we have an Australian version? And we said, yes. And this is where we find ourselves today at number 7 of the Moving Fearlessly chat series, which is hosted by Johanna and myself. And it's our space to create space for women, their thought and being leadership. So we are so pleased that you're here with us. And today we are pleased to be hosting Jo. So Jo met because she said, who are they and what are they doing? And she turned up in some of our Zoom rooms. And we went, we've got a new friend, and we play in the yes and world. And so when we heard and connected with Jo that she also works with people and their stories and speaking up and sharing their message, we were a yes and to that and said, we're all about that. So Jo, come play with us. And so this is where we are today with speaking up and sharing your message with Jo. So Jo, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Imagine the scene. imagine the scene. I am 13 years old and I am standing in front of the door of my dormitory bedroom in my boarding school. And I can hear laughter inside the room. And I open the door hesitantly and reluctantly. And as I walk in, silence, all the laughter stops. And I know for certain, yet again, that that laughter was about me. Laughter that is cruel, and laughter that unifies my 3 room bullies together against me. And I glance across at my bed and I see all my clothes have been thrown on my bed and there is some disgusting liquid poured over. But worst of all, my precious family photograph is ripped up and discarded on the floor. And I know I have 10 more weeks of this hell to endure and no one to talk to about it. So that was one term of my experience at boarding school in England many, many years ago. So why do I share that story? Because I know that many of you in this group will also have been bullied, abused, and experienced life in a way that has battered you and left you damaged. But why do I do it? Because I think that actually I have a positive message to share. We tell ourselves stories about things that happen to us, stories that can be so toxic, but we need to rewrite those stories, to look at them again, and maybe others need to help us with that, so that in turn we can look back on that and reflect and learn from it, gain strength, and become the new, fuller person that we want to be. And I know from that experience that I am a much kinder person than I ever would have been without that. And I think part of why I started my public speaking coaching and share the message is because I want others to feel able to speak up for themselves, get rid of those old messages, say what they want to say, feel good about themselves, and be the person they want to be.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm going to stop there. So, hello everybody. Hello again. So I shared that story that matters to me because today's session is called, and you would have seen it, Speak Up and Share Your Message, whatever that message is. And we all of you, I'm looking at you, dear friends, have important things to say for ourselves, and that are also so often important and so relevant for others. But for whatever reason, maybe we've had little opportunity or we've avoided the opportunity of speaking up. So in this short but very special time together this morning, I would love to invite you all, but it is only an invitation to have a go later on at sharing a little bit about something that matters to you. And when I say a little bit, we're talking about 1 to 1.5 minutes. Yeah. Now, I just want to identify that even me just saying, will you share something, for some of you will have triggered, no, fears of not being good enough. I can see Sally's face there. Yeah, fears that we're not good enough, we've got nothing to say that's of interest. Those fears, we all have them to different levels. And I know you'll have them, but I just have to say, this is a fantastic book. But more than that, I love that theme. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That is what life is all about, isn't it? So just take a moment. If me saying I'd love you to share, it's an invitation, caused you some stress, just breathe. Trust me, this is going to be a fun session. And just go back into Johanna's lovely grounding of us and breathing. Now, as I said before, the plan is that we're going to speak for 1 to 1.5 minutes, and we're going to do it in little tiny breakout rooms. And I'm literally going to guide you through the process, and we're going to have fun. And so in each breakout room, there'll be a maximum of 4 people. So you'll just be talking to 2 or 3 other people, which will be beautiful. And it will give you a chance to practice speaking in a safe place. And practicing public speaking is what we all need to do, because it is a practice and we need to do it. We need to give ourselves opportunities. And if you've never had a go before, take a risk this morning, have fun. You don't have to talk about something as heavy as what I did, like the bullying. It can be about anything. I just want you to have a go. Plus, the absolute amazing thing I want you to experience today is the wonderful bonus of you, while someone else is speaking, being a wonderful listener, and then at the end, giving them some really encouraging feedback about what they did really well. How are you feeling so far, my friends? Could you do a thumbs up if you're okay, or like that if you're feeling a bit okay? Cool. All right, I'm just getting the feel of the room. Thank you so much. So here's how we're going to do it. Johanna, are you ready with your questions?
Yep.
All right. So the first question I would love you to consider is, what will it give you to have a go at speaking up today? How will it make you feel? Okay, so Johanna, you're going to put that in the box.
I'm going to put it in the chat.
And I would love you. What would it give you just to have a go for 1.5 minutes today? I know some of you have spoken before and some of you haven't, but how will it feel? Would you type in the chat box? How will it make you feel? Giving it a go today.
Joe, with the people that you work with, what do you find when they go past that fear moment?
Oh, they feel so good about themselves. They feel that they can now just go for things that they couldn't go before.
Yeah.
I have very much worked with somebody in this audience called Michelle.
Yeah.
So, Michelle, can I ask you, Michelle, would you be happy to go off on mute? This is totally putting you on the spot here, my dear friend. How's it helped you feeling more confident about speaking?
Oh, enormously. So before I started with my sessions with Joe, or working with Joe, I was absolutely terrified of speaking up in any way, shape or form. And then after spending some really valuable and wonderful time with Joe, I was able to gain confidence in being able to speak up for myself, but still be true to myself. So without having to change my own personality or my own approach. So yeah, I was still, as I said, able to be true to myself, but still able to speak up for myself.
Yeah, beautiful, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. And Michelle, you wouldn't have done that before either if I put you on the spot.
There you go.
Fantastic. All right, so sharing what people are feeling.
So we've got connected. Sorry, you want me to call them out for you, Joe?
Yes, you go.
Go. Connected. We've got present, energized, confident. It would be a great way to meet the rest of the group. Indeed, another chance to connect, just be some people. Grounded and empowered, connected, empowered, strong. So you can see a bit of like a theme there about the...
And I've got 3 more that people had sent to me privately, like taking a big risk that might make me feel more courageous afterwards. Beautiful. Yeah. Empowered and confident. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Beautiful. So here's my second question. What would you like to talk about in your 1 minute? Now, I'm just going to look at some ideas here. So I just want you to come up with one idea that matters to you. So here are a few suggestions. Something about your life experience. I gave you my bullying example, but something about your life. Something about your work or your studies or what you do. Something about you that few people or perhaps nobody knows. Something you might like to do in the future. For example, I have plans to write this book. Real life happens in the first quadrant.
Oh.
An activity that brings you great joy or anything else you want. So could you just come up with something you'd like to talk about this morning? And again, do you want to type it in the box? And I think some of you, do you want to change it to write to everybody so we can all see? Is that okay? So just one topic you'd like to talk about this morning. 1.5 minutes.
That's a really nice invitation, Joe, because people can choose. Is it something that I just feel passionate about? Or
Yes.
do I want to
Yes.
use this opportunity to talk about something that might be a little bit risky, or I've never had the chance to talk about it before? I'm going to have a little practice. So we have my business, well, my growing business with Mandy Morris. I'm loving that, Mandy. My business with Nico also. The power of song with Shell. Thank you, Shell. Taking a risk for Sally, sorry. My work or my sausage dog. Okay. Now I want to hear about both. Living in isolation for Belinda. Bodies and communications for Johanna. Scuba diving for Michelle. Being a kid.
So rich.
The Alexander technique for Teresa. Teresa, sorry if I said it the wrong way.
It's all good.
Yeah. I think for me, I would what's really alive for me at the moment is my disconnection to Australia. Like the fact that it's not only days away in a plane, but then the quarantine, and so beautiful to be with all on the Zoom.
Thank you. Beautiful. I hope that's everybody. I think that is. All right. So now I'm going to take a couple of examples, because I would like you to imagine what would be your ideal question that somebody would ask you, which would just open up for you to talk about what you just said. So for example, Mandy, you said my growing business, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mandy said my growing business. So Mandy, I'd love you to think of a question which would be something like, Mandy, tell me 3 things about your new business that I should know about. Yeah? Or what would you love to tell me about your growing business? So can you just imagine, all of you, a question? So I'll give you some more examples you can come up with. But just what would be the dream question that would link off? So for Teresa, the Alexander technique, what's that? Or Belinda, oh yes, how has it been for you living in isolation, or what have you learned in isolation? Or Kath, being a kid, what are your reflections when you look back on being a kid? Do you know what I mean? Can you all just come up with what would be the dream question you would love somebody to ask you, and you'd go, oh yes, here I go. Can you type in your question too? That would be gorgeous.
So Mandy's added in her question, what lights you up?
Ah, nice. Nice. Yes. Okay. So more general than that. Yeah, lovely.
Nice.
Hard.
Who's saying it was hard?
Me.
Sally.
Who's me? As I can't see. Oh, Sally. Sorry, Sally. I can't see everyone at the moment. Okay. So Sally, you said, what was the thing you said?
I'm going to just cancel your spotlight here, and then
Thank you.
we can all go back as a group now, Joe, so you can.
Yeah, that would be great. Sally, you said taking a risk. Yeah?
Yeah.
So what aspects of taking a risk do you want to have a talk about this morning?
Well, I was going to pick an easier topic, but then after I thought about it, and the theme of today, I thought I'd do something a little bit more challenging. And so I've just got something on my mind at the moment, so I thought I would share that. So perhaps, I don't know why somebody would ask me, but, what's been on your mind lately? Perhaps
No,
that
I love it. I love it, Sally. Sally, pop that one down so we've got that. What's been on your mind recently? I love it. Actually, wouldn't that be a great question to sometimes just ask people? So how are you going with that one? Does anybody else? How did you discover the Alexander? So you just, share them.
So Belinda's shared, what are the 3 things you have learnt during isolation?
Yep.
Great, clear question. Thank you very much. Teresa, how do you discover the Alexander technique? Ooh, nice twist. Shell, what's special about song? Sally, what's been on your mind lately? So what's the power of the question, Joe?
The power of the question is that I think so often public speaking feels scary because you feel like you're out here separate from your audience. But I think the joy of having a question is that it reminds you that public speaking or speaking is like a conversation. Even if you're the one who's mainly talking, it is a conversation with your audience. And I think you also need to know that they're interested in what you say. So if you imagine they've asked you a question and you're answering the question, you can give that feeling, that they are interested. You can believe that they're interested. And the third thing it gives you is a sort of focus to what you're going to say. So I would love all of you to come up with a question. And if you're not sure, please come off mute and let me help you work out a question.
We have Mandy's offered. I'd love to hear about bodies and communication.
Yep.
Johanna, thanks, Mandy. I would love to tell you more. Oh, that's like a thing. Right. Sorry, I thought it was your question, Mandy. Sorry.
It was.
Yep. Karen's is what would you most like about the new job you're going for? Yes, Karen. Great one. Kate, have you decided, are you going to talk about your job or the dog?
I'm a bit of a last minute person, so I'll just decide on the spot right now, hey?
Yeah.
Yes, so make a decision. Make a decision now. Have we got everybody? Just because you need your question. I feel like we have. So, Kate, what do you...
Give us a little bit of a hand sparkulation if you need some help with the question, if you haven't quite got it yet and want a little bit of help with Joe. Michelle's put her hand there.
Okay.
Take yourself off mute.
All right, Michelle, put yourself off mute. I know you love scuba diving. All right, Michelle, what would be the dream question that somebody would ask you that would allow you to launch in and share about why you love scuba diving?
What is so enjoyable about scuba diving?
Fantastic. What is so enjoyable about scuba diving? That is gorgeous. That's perfect. Michelle, will you type that in? And Kate's gone with the dog.
Good choice, Kate.
What is wrong with your little sausage dog?
And Catherine's also got, did you learn anything as a 10-year-old that still helps you today?
Oh, wow.
Nice question.
I love it.
Yeah.
I want to play with that question.
And Nico's, how do you help people? Beautiful. Just
great
beautiful.
Question too.
Good.
I love this framing around the question, because also the thing that it gives you is, like you were saying, that you feel connected to your audience there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, I think sometimes when we think about speaking, it can feel so isolating.
Yeah.
Whereas like the work, really, the reason we're speaking is to connect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because starting from that frame, starting from that place can be so much more compassionate and caring to yourself as a speaker.
Oh, I think so.
Other than I need to turn up, I need to be impressive, I need to be perfect. You could just turn up and say, what I'm wanting to do is connect.
Absolutely. And absolutely, that's absolutely in the way I'm framing this as speaking should be. A conversation, it should be enjoyable. It should be about connecting with your audience. Fantastic. Why do we take risks? I think we have a full set now. Yay, fantastic. All right. Okay. So the last thing I would like you to do now is, okay, so let me take one. So can I take, Kath, may I take yours? So you said, did you learn anything as a 10-year-old that still helps you today? So I would like Kath to think of ideally 3, but 2 is fine, but 3 is perfect. 3 things that she learned as a 10-year-old that she could share in her little talk. Or perhaps one thing that's got different parts to it. How does that feel, Kath?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, does that feel okay?
Yeah.
So
do you
Nico,
want me to say something now, Joe?
Yeah, no, so just have a think about what they are and then jot them down. These things we don't have to share, so just jot them down or type them up, just sort of 3 bullet points. They're kind of going to be like your 3 paragraphs that you're going to talk to people about. Yep. And then you've got 3 things to hang on. So when you're talking to people, you'll kind of go, I know what I'm going to say. There's these 3 areas. Yeah. 2 is fine too. So really, I'll just do a couple more examples. So how do you help people? So Nico, perhaps think of 3 different ways that you help people for each of you. Yeah. Sally, what's been on your mind recently? So Sally, yours might be, from what you're saying, I don't know, I don't want to, you know, get you to spill the beans yet about your story. Yours might be one big thing. Thank you for asking that question. This is what's been on my mind. Or it may be there's a few things been on your mind. So whichever feels more comfortable to you to go. Yeah. So again, could you wave if you'd like me to just help you with your question? Otherwise, I'm going to assume you're okay, but I'm watching you all.
It's great because it gives the anchor points. Like that's when we're working with speakers, it's like you can get lost up there.
Yeah.
With where am I going and what was I going to say next? And,
yeah.
and having those anchor points of knowing that you're going to land more than once successfully, just having that structure so you have something to hold on to while you're standing up there, and the heart rate might be going up, and you might be having, some people have almost like an out-of-body experience when they're needing to public speak, and all of those things happening. So you have your anchor.
Nice, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And it's simplifying it.
Yeah. Now I'm just watching you all writing away. I am going to ask you, in no hassly way, to just put a little thumbs up when you feel I'm there. Do you know what I mean? But no hassle. So don't look up and see everyone else's thumbs up and worry about writing. Just take a moment. Just give you a moment. You're just kind of writing your, oh yes, oh my goodness. Of course, those of you who are more digitally aware than me have used the thumbs up function of Zoom.
Oh, that's done for Linda.
They fade off and cap, yes. So you just need sort of brief points. You're not writing a kind of 1.5 minute talk, just your points.
Right, I'm loving this thumbs up action.
There's a good game we can play with that. We're going to play a game later with these reactions. Remind me at the end. We'll have a little game.
Yes.
Okay, so because the thumbs up come off and go down again, I am weirdly going to ask if you could do a real one, if you're okay. I'm sort of scanning everybody. Sally, you right? Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Good to go. All right. Okay. All right. So now I just want to explain the thing. So in a minute, but not quite yet, we're going to go into our little Zoom rooms, and I'm just looking at the maths of this. So I'm sort of seeing we'll have a 3, a 3, and a 4. Yeah. And then Johanna and Debra and I might just dip in and out. Does that look good? Yeah. So let me tell you about the other bit of the role. All right. So I'm going to, Nico, can I play with you? Can you unmute?
Sure. Good morning, Jo. Good morning, everybody.
Hi.
So Nico's theme is how do you help people? So when you arrive in your little group, so just pretend Nico is in your group, you'll be your 3 or 4. I want you to take it in turns to have fun introducing one of the people. So if I'm in Nico's group, I would be introducing Nico. Something like, can I just welcome Nico now to talk about how she helps people? Yeah?
Oh, thank you, Jo.
Okay.
Now I've got the floor.
Yeah, no, okay, so I'm not going to ask you to do it now,
No.
and then you would chat, yeah? So, and then, yeah, go Nico.
I have a question, though.
Yes, I was going to ask, yes.
Because how are we, once we're in the breakout room, we can't see the chat. So how do we know what question to ask people?
Oh, okay. So you could ask the person, beautiful question. So if, for example, you were with Sally, you could say, Sally, just before I introduce you, could you remind me what your question is? Yeah. And Sally will say, yeah. Or if it was Michelle, what's so enjoyable about scuba diving? And then you could say you were introducing Michelle. Here's Michelle, and welcome her to talk about what is so enjoyable about scuba diving. Yeah, I would love you in your little groups to clap and cheer. Those of us in the group who are Toastmasters also know that clapping is so encouraging. So just clap and then let the other person talk. And they can say something like, thank you, Nico. I'm so excited to talk about scuba diving. I've got 3 things I'd like to chat about scuba diving. And off you go for a minute and a half. Yeah? And then at the end, I want you to feel very comfortable to do just as I did at my beginning of my talk, at the end of my talk, and I just said something like, I'm going to stop now. You do not have to worry about coming up with a classy conclusion. We've had spent no time preparing this. If you can sum it up, for example, and those are the reasons why I love scuba diving, or that is what scuba diving means to me, or whatever, gorgeous. But I want you also to feel no pressure, and at any time you can say, I'm going to stop now. Is that okay? And the rest of the group will clap you as though that was the best ending ever. Yeah? So I'm trying to take all the pressure off you. So I quite like that. I'm going to stop now. And then what I'm going to ask is for the others in the group to just take a moment and to appreciate you for what you just did and to tell you what you have just done well. In public speaking, so often as soon as we finish speaking, we kind of start saying, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. You are going to put all that aside and allow the other people in your group to just say 2 or 3 things you just did really well. Like, I loved your personal story. I really engaged with it. I love the pace you talked about. I love the imagery you did. Do you know what I mean? Just say some things that they did to make them feel super good. And then when you've done that, just take it in turns and somebody else introduce another person. So I know there's quite a few practicalities there. So any questions about what we're doing, please ask. In my head, it's clear as mud, but in your heads, it may not be.
You can also trust the wisdom of the group. If you're in a group of 3, I'm sure that the 3 of you can.
Yeah. All right. Should we just give it a go? Should we just go and play?
So I just have a question. Just about the timing. I know it's hard to gauge timing when you're speaking. Should we be sort of aware of
That's a good point.
giving a little hint for each other when we're going?
That is a nice point. In a very sweet, casual way, how about the person that introduces you maybe just has a little glance at their watch and just say you got to, you know, and it was still 1.5 minutes and you looked like the person was in full flood. Maybe you could say graciously, maybe you'd like to stop now. Or
you could give like a hand signal.
Or maybe I think a hand signal like, yes.
You can also decide in the group what's going to work for the group.
Yeah, perhaps that would be lovely to work out. I haven't, Thank you, Karen. That's a really good practical question. You've got 10 minutes and you've got in the different groups. And if Debra or Johanna and I drop in, don't worry, we won't talk, but we would love to be part of giving the, congratulatory comments. Yeah?
So am I creating 4 groups, 4 rooms?
I think you're creating 3 rooms.
3.
I'm going to create 3 rooms, everybody. This is my first breakout room. I've never done it as a host. Here we go. I'm risking something new. All right, everybody. I'm automatically putting us into 3 rooms. And in 10 minutes, I'm going to bring you back and creating the breakout rooms now. That leaves 4 people in each room. And
well, we're not in.
Joe, you and Yo go into rooms. I just don't go into a room.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Let's just do it.
Room? Let's just do it. Let's go. Speak up and have some fun. Room 1. Hi.
Hi. I sort of left a little bit before everybody else.
That's all right. They'll pop up soon. They're all getting kicked out. Did you enjoy sharing your story, Shell?
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was really nice.
Yay.
Yay, we're back. So sorry to kick everybody out, but I'm just being mindful of our time.
I hope everybody had a go. Did everyone have a go to speak? Wow, I'm very mindful of time, Deborah, but I think that was super fun and everybody had a good time. How about, because I don't think we'll have enough time for people to actually say it, could you just write, how was that for you? How was that experience for you? Could you just write that down so we can make sure that we all see each other? So how did that go for you?
Great way to connect from Belinda. That was amazing. Thanks so much, Mandy, Shell, and Johanna. Loved hearing your stories. So enjoyed hearing everyone's stories. Beautiful sharing. So great to get the breadth of experience and passion. Absolutely beautiful. So Kate has to run off. Thank you for letting us know. It was fantastic, fabulous, supportive comments. Great process to learn, thanks, and meet lovely people. Excellent.
Loved it, inspiring and cathartic too from Sally. Yep.
Great, yeah.
Really meeting people, Mandy and Nico, and hearing more from Jo about her work. Lovely to meet you all.
It's great. It's that power of story, isn't it? In like the way that it can create these connections.
Thank you, everybody, for having a really good play. Welcome to all, and thank you for being here. Yay! Deborah, I'll hand back to you.
Thank you so much, Jo. That was fun. As always happens on these chats, the time goes so fast, and it's because we're happy to connect and be together, and we're so pleased that you've been with us, and we invite you to all of our chats in the future. So thanks, Jo, so much. Everyone's going to get a copy of a replay of this.
Wow, thank you.
In case you want to like have another turn, invite some other people into creating some stories with you, have another go. You'll also get an invitation to our next chat, which is actually going to be hosted by Johanna and myself together, because what we've decided is we're interested in the women who are turning up for Moving Fearlessly. And next week, it's going to be chat number 8. So we thought we're just going to pause for a minute and we're going to invite some connection and some stories just to hear what's present for the women who are turning up to Move Fearlessly with us on a Wednesday, and what do we want to share when there's no pressure for it to be about anything, but we're interested in what's emerging. Because what it's going to do is it's going to help us to shape the chat series moving into August, September, and however long we dance, Moving Fearlessly. So thank you so much for being with us. It's a delight. Thank you so much, Jo.
My pleasure.
Really loved it. Now we have a tradition with the way
before we do that, can I interrupt and just play that little game very briefly? Let's just a quick game with the reactions button. What we're going to do, we're all going to aim to be doing the same reaction. So we're just going to keep doing it. So you either choose the applaud or the thumbs, and we'll just see, and we'll just keep doing it and see if we get close to doing the same one. And that's the aim of the game. 1, 2, 3, go.
Nah.
Oh, look at that.
How did we do it?
We're pretty close. Do we have another go?
Yeah. Well, we'll wait till they all go off. 1, 2, 3, go.
That's great. Love it.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's when you've got a whole group, it's hilarious.
That's so fun. That's so
one
cool.
last one. 1, 2, 3, go.
That was the mixed bag of lollies right there.
Yeah.
Fun. Thanks, Yo, for bringing in the play.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we understand it's 3 minutes past and you have to go, but we also do have a tradition of how we end our chats here. So we're just going to take a moment. If you have to go, have an awesome Wednesday. We hope to see you next Wednesday. You can just exit stage left. For those who have another minute, we invite you to stay on the screen with us so we can share with you how we how we finished our community gatherings. So this is us. So the way that we end is we acknowledge and thank everybody who's here. So I'm going to start by acknowledging and thanking somebody. And once they receive that, they then choose somebody else on the screen to acknowledge and thank. Sally, I see you and thank you.
Catherine, I see you and thank you.
Michelle, I see you and thank you.
Mandy, I see you and thank you.
Nico, I see you and thank you.
Joe, I see you and thank you.
Shell, I see you and thank you.
You're on mute.
Of course.
Karen, I see you and thank you.
Catherine, I see you and thank you.
Teresa, I see you and thank you.
Johanna, I see you and thank you.
I think that's everyone. So I'm going to now see and thank everyone. And that will be the close of our call.
Thank you.
We can all express that with either a little, we call this, and I always have the elevated sparkulation. So I see you all and I thank you so much for coming and joining Joe and moving fearlessly this Wednesday morning.
Woohoo!
Woo! Have a great Wednesday,
Awesome
everyone.
Wednesday, everybody.
Bye.
See you next week if you can make it.
Bye.